heard that is the enemy's motto, do what you want,
Ooh.
And sometimes, the influence we have from music and movies and our friends and different things, we start doing what we want. And so the word says, like, there's life and death in the tongue, right? And how so many times people would put labels on me and I would like somehow start living those out. Just that whole 90s era was just like floating a lot of
Shorty want to be a thug.
The physical and emotional abuse that I went through in the relationship. As our daughter was getting older, had her first birthday, I didn't want those things to affect her, and I just thought that it would be better that we would be separated.
Welcome back to another episode of The House Ain't Clean. House ain't clean, huh, babe?
The house is getting cleaner, I think.
You think it's getting cleaner?
I think so.
How?
I don't know. I feel like we're transforming and growing in a good way.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think we've been through a lot at this point that has helped us to persevere through a lot of difficult times. And
did you have any difficult times today? Was it all good?
It was okay. I mean, I was almost late for church, but
we actually were early and we had to pick up baby girl.
Yeah, so that was good.
That was good, and we still made it on time.
Really?
Okay, so make it. Yeah, well, yeah, and that was awesome. Actually, we were like really early because she is so native. She doesn't care if you think she's late. She's on Indian time. So yeah, we are early. Yeah. I'm your host, Mark Cabrera. This is my beautiful wife, co-host, my rib, Melissa Rose Cabrera.
Thanks for that introduction, babe.
Yeah, and do you know what the Bible says about you?
What?
That you're a good thing. Is that a good thing?
Yeah, I think so, because it says man who finds a wife
finds a good thing.
Yes.
So, man, I found a good thing.
Yeah, it's a good thing you found me.
I know. How'd you like the service?
It was good.
Yeah?
Yeah.
What'd you get out of it? Oh, I liked it. I mean, for the fact that we heard it through a projector. Pastor Matt was out with the youth.
Yeah.
So that was good, but I got a lot out of it.
Yeah, so our kids are at church camp. We have 4 kids at church camp.
Yeah.
So we still have 2 here at the house, so it's not like we're totally without kids.
Oh my goodness. So you just heard that we have a total of 6 kids.
Yes.
Right. And it's not really 6 because we still have 2 other ones. We have a total of 8. Right. So how do we get get here?
8 kids.
So yeah, how did we get here? Which brings us to the last episode where we're kind of touch base on my upbringing through my adolescence years, getting arrested numerous times, been in gangs, and I talked about me dying, seeing God. Yeah. Building up to the time that we met, and we kind of went through a little bit of your upbringing, on the reservation, then going to the boarding school, then going to Arizona and going to a boarding school over there, all the way till your grandfather died. You had a spouse, and he killed himself.
Yeah.
And like that's a really sensitive subject.
It is, but I mean, it is part of my life,
Yeah.
So yeah. Definitely. I mean, even through high school, I went through different phases. I was in a Christian boarding school for Native Americans my first year of high school, and learned a lot about Jesus, chose to follow Jesus. I remember I had a Bible that said, I love you, Jesus, or I love Jesus on the side of it,
Mm-hmm.
But I started going to a different school in my 10th grade year. It was very different. It's hard for someone so young who doesn't go to church
right.
to
But your 10th
continue
grade year, again, your 10th grade year was in Martin.
In South Dakota, yes.
Right.
So
And that's because your grandfather went back to start a business to employ, right, Native Americans.
That's right.
Right.
Yeah.
But you didn't want to be a burden on them.
It was kind of it was kind of a different experience. Some people might call that town like a very racist town. A lot of the towns that do border the reservation tend to have some racial issues toward the Lakota people. I think it's always kind of been a problem in that area. I did see and experience some of it. It was just a very different experience to go from like living in Phoenix, Arizona to living in like a farm town that sits between two Lakota reservations. It was okay. But the only thing is I started getting into other things, and
like what other things?
My grades went down, smoking and stuff. You know, I never wanted to smoke. I never thought about smoking. I kind of didn't like it that a lot of people in my family smoked, and I didn't like the smell of it, and I just never really wanted to do that. I just fell into that. When you look back at my high school years, the time I was at the boarding school, which was called Southwest Indian School in a suburb of Phoenix, Arizona, my grades were always really good. Yeah, and I think it's because I didn't have the outside influence so much and the distraction of different things, you know.
Because you had guardrails up.
Oh, well, there were a lot of boundaries there. Like, we had to either wear a dress or a skirt, or we could wear what they called culottes, which were kind of like shorts that look like skirts, but they had to be like a certain length.
Yeah.
And so I would do that a lot. I think I would wear my skirts with like combat boots then. I had a lot of Navajo friends that were kind of into like an alternative type.
What was like the Doc Martens? Or just like combat boots?
Yeah, just combat boots.
You was like stomping and womping.
Construction boots. It was like I said, it was kind of like an alternative type of grunge style, I might say.
Oh yeah, you was into that? Like Cobain?
I wasn't, but my friends were, so it was just easier for me to wear skirts with boots because I was not into like wearing skirts with like dress shoes or something like that, you know? And then I would wear the culottes, which allowed me to still wear shoes that weren't dress shoes kind of thing. So I just try to get by with the dress code with not having to.
You're always trying to get away with something.
Yeah.
Stop that.
So, but I do look back on that, and I had seen my transcript one time, and I was like, wow, my grades were like really bad whenever I wasn't at that school. Like, and you could see this up and down thing.
Yeah. So that was your high school years, right?
Oh, so then when I was in Martin, one good thing about that is I was able to take advantage of some like Native American programs.
Right. But you were gonna be a doctor, a pediatrician.
Yeah, I liked kids. I liked learning, actually. I liked school. I liked the social aspect of it. I enjoyed learning, and I just thought I should go to school as long as I can.
Yeah, because you got accepted to that program in CU Boulder.
Yeah.
And that was the program that we're talking about.
Okay, so InMed is a college program for Native American students to go to college before you graduate high school. You know, God always has a plan.
Amen.
Creator always has a plan, and then He also gives us free will to do, you know, what we want to do, and we can choose to walk His path or walk another path. As they would say in the Lakota way, there's this red road, which is narrow.
Yeah.
And choose the red road or the black road or your own road, right?
Right.
I've heard that is the enemy's motto, do what you want, you know. And sometimes, you know, the influence we have from music and movies and our friends and different things, you know, we start doing what we want. And so I think I went I think I went down that path, you know, and there is a scripture in the Bible that does say you know, narrow is the gate that goes to heaven, and only few will find it, and wide is the gate that goes to hell.
So did we find it?
I believe I found it. Oh.
What do you think this is? Like, I just got my high five up. Okay, it's all good, babe.
Going back to the old school, like, how cola.
Okay. So then that was 10th. How about your 11th, 12th grade until you got out of high school?
Yeah, so then I got kicked out of Upward Bound. I got kicked out of Upward Bound, and that was like really sad for me because I was like, I'm really sorry. Like, I had talked back to like one of our RNs or something, and they were like the people that were looking over us at the frat house.
So you just talked them back.
Yeah. And had met a lot of cool people, other Native students from different tribes, and of course had to always be like the funny, the funny person.
Funny person that got kicked out.
Yeah, that's how I would always get kicked out. It was like doing something, doing something to entertain others, and then getting kicked out. And I remember so many teachers telling me that, like, it's not your job to entertain others. I'm like, but I just want them to laugh,
Yeah, but you're not a comedian. You're trying to be a doctor.
Exactly. I should have stayed on that route. Like, yeah. Went into, what grade would that be after 10th grade? 11th grade. Decided to go back to Southwest Indian School because I was, kind of falling behind, just doing what I wanted to do. So.
And Southwest Indian School's in?
Phoenix, Arizona. So I went there. Around Christmas time, I was going to go visit my grandpa. And then I remember it was our Christmas break and we were all getting ready and packed up and going to be on a 2-week vacation. And I was going to be flying out of Phoenix into Rapid City, South Dakota to visit my grandpa who was sick. I think he was like at the VA hospital in Hot Springs. And then got a call that said that my grandpa had passed. After the funeral, I was kind of thinking, I'm not going to go back. Like, I should try to be there for my family, Started going to school again. One of my friends, no, I didn't get kicked out of school anymore. Okay. But one of my friends mentioned to me that she had gone to InMed and wanted me to apply to go to InMed so that we could go to InMed together. And
you got kicked out of InMed.
I did get kicked out of InMed. So then it was just like...
you did make people laugh. That makes me laugh right now. That's so funny. You could talk about it.
What was funny in my junior year, too, in Martin, was that some kids were telling me, yeah, you should run for class president. I'm like, what is class president? Like, what does class president do?
Wait, you ran for class president? You didn't tell me this.
I think I did. I think people were saying, yeah, you should run.
Okay, so were you class president?
No, I didn't. Okay. They just thought it would be like funny because, like I would smoke a lot and be smoking. I feel like I was like a pothead at that time,
Oh my goodness.
I know, it's bad. So, yeah, and it was kind of like this thing that I feel like at the time I was just living my life, but when I look back on it, the labels that the enemy puts on us, the words that he says, and how, the word says like there's life and death in the tongue, right? And how so many times people would put labels on me, and I would like somehow start living those out.
Right.
Yeah.
But then that's why you have to know the word, because you could combat it and say what? No weapon formed against me shall prosper.
That's right. Yeah.
You got to know the word.
Yeah. So then I applied to go to InMed. My friend's like, yeah, let's go. We could go together. I think her mom was like in administration for Indian education. And she's like, I went last year. It's really amazing. So applied for it. And then because the Native population was pretty low at the school I went to, they were only accepting one person based on the population.
So you got it.
So I got it and she didn't. So we didn't get to go together. But she did go to another program, like a pharmacy program. So it was good for her.
She was probably thinking, I should never told her. Got kicked out anyway.
Yeah. So then I went to InMed, another awesome experience. I think it was University of North Dakota. Same thing. This time it wasn't a frat house, but more of a dormitory we stayed in. Taking pre-college classes, loved it, and then got into a spat with my friend, got kicked out, and I don't even know why I got into a spat with her. I really liked her too. Yeah. And but got kicked out of InMed, so went back and stuff.
Went back to Martin.
And
There's probably like, man, Aunt Patty's thinking she had it. she was going to be a doctor.
Yeah. I even remember my aunt, she would always try to, encourage me to cook. And I'm like, I didn't want to cook. Like, I could do the cleaning part. And then she's like, well, when you get older, like, what are you going to eat? And I was just like, well, I'll just have, like, somebody cook for me. I'll just pay somebody to cook for me.
You don't pay me.
I do pay you.
No, it's service, though. It was actually a nugget that we actually heard today about praise. That was good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What was that about? Where did you get this nugget from?
We were watching Pastor Dennis Leonard, and he was talking about praise. That was good.
Yeah, that was good.
Just something really small.
Yeah.
Yeah. You want to show what he said?
No.
You don't remember?
I don't.
Oh, man. I forgot how we brought it. We might have to edit this whole thing out.
Yeah, just cut that out.
Yeah.
Okay.
So what happened with InMed now?
So got kicked out of InMed, went back to Martin, and decided to do my senior year with my mom in Colorado, in Denver. My mom was an LPN.
Right.
Always worked the night shift, so during the day she'd be sleeping, and then my mom wanted me to work. She thought it would be good for me. Started working at Burger King. Actually, first I worked at McDonald's.
Yeah.
Got fired.
Of course.
Got fired.
Talk back.
I said I just got hired. Now I got fired.
So did you? so did you talk back to somebody?
Talk back to somebody.
Customer?
Yeah. No.
Supervisor.
Actually, it was the boss. Yeah, and he started yelling at me like through a chair and was like, "You need to sit down." Not at me, but like threw a chair across the room. Was like, "You need to sit down." Blah blah blah. And well, you're fired. So,
wow, that's crazy. Sit down for what? Okay, so
anyway. Started working at Burger King. So met a friend there, and Janine, and then from there met just my other friends like Tiff. Yeah, I met Janine at McDonald's.
Oh, okay.
She was going to Thornton High School, I think. I think she was going to Skyview and then was going to Thornton, but wasn't going to Thornton.
Oh, okay.
Type thing.
Right. That's crazy. I didn't know that.
Yeah.
I thought you guys met in high school.
Yeah, she was going to Thornton High School, but she really wasn't going.
Right.
So,
what was your clique called? You was in a little clique.
Oh, so then I met Janine, and from there I got to be friends with like Tiff and everybody.
All the homegirls.
Yeah, so this is like '96. Just that whole '90s era was just like
Shorty want to be a thug.
Promoting a lot of thug life. Kind of fell.
Was you a thug?
No, I don't think I was a thug.
But you hung out with all the thugs.
No, well, we referred to ourselves as players at the time. So.
No, wait, hold on. That's so funny. What was it called?
UFP.
United
Female Players Crew.
United.
I know
that's so funny. I'm sorry, that's funny.
Yeah, but that's
UFP.
what it was about, right?
What was how'd you throw it up?
I don't ever think I really threw it up. I mean, it wasn't like a gang. It was just like what we'd call. Yeah, we would just say like, oh yeah, like we're UFP, United Female Players.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Yeah.
So I was about that player life, I guess. I mean, I didn't really think I was a player, but it was just like the friends I had at the time, what we were doing. A lot of people back then were into tagging and like,
that's fun.
Getting up on that whole thing. So started partying a lot. I just really wasn't focused on school, actually. Yeah, I was just about like going to work, hanging out with friends, like just doing what I had to do to get by in my PE class.
Just your typical teenager stuff.
Yeah.
So you're what, 17, 18-ish now, because you went to school at Thornton.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, and I actually met Raylene at Thornton High School.
Okay, that's cool.
Yeah.
Right.
So she was my Kiowa friend.
Yeah.
Kiowa Cheyenne Arapaho. I'm like kind of the same height as Ray, right? So a lot of people thought we were related. One person asked us if we were twins. We're like, we're not twins. We're not even from the same tribe. Like, I mean, toward the end of the school year, I was wearing a hat and this teacher had asked, I had just put it on. I was almost between, the door. There's always two doors in places that are cold. Mm-hmm. And I guess it's to like clean your feet off and go into the next set of doors and to keep the building warm. And I had just walked into that little area, put a hat on, and then this teacher says, excuse me, you're going to have to take that hat off. And I said, I'm already out of the building. She said, no, you're not. You're just, still in the building. I said, but this is just like this little space. Just left my hat on and kept going. So the next morning, got to school, got called to the office, said that I was suspended from school. I think that was like a Thursday. So they're like, yeah, you're suspended for tomorrow. And because it's the senior prom tomorrow and you're suspended, you can't go to the prom.
And you went to the prom?
Went to the prom.
Then they kicked you out?
Yeah.
So you never finished school?
Yeah. So got expelled.
I
know. So got expelled. I guess that is kind of getting kicked. That is kicked
I mean,
out, right?
like you had, let's talk past tense, a problem with submitting to authority.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
No.
rebellion, you know.
Yeah.
And they do say that rebellion can be seen as a form of like witchcraft. Satan being the first rebel.
Yeah.
Rebelling against God.
Yeah, that's for
You
sure.
know? Yeah.
I think that brings me up to the time that we went to the Christopher Columbus parade. I remember that I felt like you had some defiance there. You was throwing up the middle finger at these people. And I was like, whoa, she's cool. She's cool. You know.
Okay.
Anyway, I just thought that was fun.
Yeah. Then I also had that
So
that
defiance.
influence in my life of like, I don't know if
You was a
could
rebel
call
and
it-
a thug at the same time.
Yeah, it's like there was a movement, you know, an indigenous movement that, you know,
That you were like involved in.
I don't know if I was involved in, but it had gone through our reservation. It had influenced a lot of our medicine people. I think this movement came with promoting change and wanting to stop the injustice that a lot of Native people were going through at that time, or
Right.
still going through. It was bringing up things that, you know, our people have endured, and it was getting people together to stand up against the injustice and asking for our treaty rights to be recognized,
Right.
to be seen, and
Sure.
to be heard, you know. So I think because there were a lot of Native people being killed and nothing being done about it, the poverty that people were going through at the time, I had always heard it both sides though, you know, like one side of my family on my mom's side, like my grandpa who owned his own business his whole life, who had served in the Korean War, who was in the army, I would say that this movement had a lot of negatives. And then on my dad's side, where
so Grandpa Rudy would think of it more a negative way.
yeah,
what you're saying.
he was kind of like, well, at that time, when the movement had, you know, started coming through the reservation, he felt that people were getting on track with education, opening their own businesses, doing different things. And then because of the occupation at Wounded Knee and everything that happened on our reservation during that time in the 70s, thought of it as kind of a mild setback, because again, now it's a fight, and now people aren't going through with what the government ultimately wanted us to do, is assimilate, right?
Right.
And to further ourselves and further our people. He thought it was kind of put on a halt because now it was a fight again, you know?
Yeah.
So yeah, there was an occupation on our reservation in 1973 in Wounded Knee, South Dakota. Wounded Knee is where there was a massacre that took place on our reservation, where there's a mass grave of 300 people that were massacred and buried in a mass grave.
Right.
And so when the occupation happened, some people that were for it and some people that were against it. And I think a lot of the medicine men at the time started supporting the movement. Like I said, wanting change for our people, wanting something better for our people, wanting the injustice to stop, wanting our treaty rights to be, you know, fulfilled.
Right.
And
So
stuff.
your mindset was based around this ideology.
Yeah, like I said, I had heard both for quite some time.
Right.
And my family wasn't always pushing me for education, but because I did do well in school, they thought that it would be good for me to go on to a higher education, and in that, so that I could help our people in whatever
Like you're
way
saying,
that
as a
would be.
lawyer, you could have done that. Matter of fact, you even try to go back. That one time you went to the University of Phoenix.
Online school.
Yeah, you did the online school.
That was really hard for me.
So,
I think I'm more of like an in-class type of girl, where like I get more from hearing lectures and learning in person. Yeah, it was really hard for me because I guess I couldn't be the class clown.
Yeah.
No, I'm just kidding.
No,
but
of
you know,
course.
online it was just different for me because, for one, I'm not that like tech savvy.
Yeah.
You know, I need to be more tech savvy. But yeah.
It's easy.
And then
Being tech savvy is easy. You just got to get on the computer. You're never on a computer or a tablet. You're on the phone. You're always on Instagram. You just do this and then you send me stuff.
yeah, you're real tech savvy too. Always on Marketplace. Yeah.
Marketplace is dope. Like you can find some cheap stuff that. What are you talking? Marketplace. I got I got the mic stands on Marketplace. What else we get on Marketplace around here? Okay, so going back, you surrounded yourself in this type of ideology, right?
Yeah. It's like being around your parents. It just comes with that territory, right? So,
right.
Being around these people, being around my dad, being around my grandma,
Right.
being around these medicine people that are running ceremony and doing ceremony.
Right.
And I wasn't always going to ceremonies. Like some people, like I would know they're going to sweat all the time. Like they're going here, they're going there, all these different things, which is good for them, or that was their way, and I'm fine with that. But I wasn't always at every event and every ceremony.
I got it.
But I did have that influence in my
Right.
life. And then I also had my mom's side, who was very much like no matter what you do, you have to work. My aunt Belva Fire Thunder, she told me doesn't matter what you do as long as you live a clean and sober life and you work. Even if it's at McDonald's, it doesn't matter, but just live a clean and sober life and work.
Right.
She didn't say like you have to get good grades, you have to go to college, you have to all these things.
Right.
Yeah, so I think that the passing of my grandpa in my 11th grade year did affect me a lot.
Yeah.
In a way that probably I didn't even notice at the time.
Right.
Because I had just started doing different things, and my grandpa would always tell me like, hey, women aren't supposed to be participating in these certain ceremonies, those are only for men. So I guess that up until 1978, actually, Lakota people couldn't practice their way of life. I wouldn't call their way of life a religion, but I mean, that is part of the Constitution, like freedom of religion, but not for the Lakota people. It wasn't. The Lakota way of life, it was underground. Our ways were kept underground for a long time, and people did practice them, but they couldn't be too open about it.
Right.
But what I would hear is that like if they had ceremony, they have to put up the anipi, the sweat lodge, have sweat, take it down, make it look like there was no sweat there every time. So I could never imagine that.
You're about what, 20?
Oh, so then that's how I met Jason, is that I was 18, drinking somewhat a lot. Then I was staying with another friend that I had met at the Sundance the year before. Him and his wife were fixing to get married, and I think he was in an Aztec group. And so they're doing like these Aztec dances, and they had a summer solstice ceremony.
Yeah.
So I went to the summer solstice ceremony. That's where I met Jason.
Yeah.
And from that point, we had developed a relationship. My grandma was actually coming from South Dakota to pick me up because she heard that, I was staying here and there, and she wanted to come pick me up. I was actually trying to get to South Dakota, and I don't know how my grandma and my aunt found out.
Yeah.
But so they came to pick me up, but they missed me because, in those times we didn't have cell phones. So I was just kind of like here and there. And then I ended up missing them. And then I was telling Jason, like, I guess I missed my grandma because she went to pick me up at one of my grandpa's, not my grandpa Rudy, but his cousin who lived in Denver and was a medicine man in Denver. So he told me, your grandma came here from Rosebud, and she couldn't find you, so she said she was just going to go back. So then I was telling Jason that, and he's like, well, I'm going to be running some clothes up there for my friend who has a nonprofit and who gives donations to Pine Ridge, and then maybe I could take you to Rosebud. Yeah. Which he did. And so we kind of, developed a little bit of a relationship, but then he dropped me off at my grandma's in South Dakota. And so I was there just like messing around with my cousins, doing crazy things, still, being 18. And then I think a few weeks later, Jason had come back to Rosebud and was like, hey, like, I was really thinking about you, blah, blah, blah. Like, just wanted to know if you wanted to come back to Denver with me. Did that, and from that point, like, we were just always together.
Yeah, so from 18 till...
So
well, how did there had to have been like some issues leading up to about when you were 23. Was it 23 or 22?
Yeah, there's a lot of issues.
So in 4 years, I mean, I don't know if we're going to get into it or if you want to get into it, but there's obviously issues there.
He actually was praying with another medicine man in Denver. Pretty prominent, what someone would call a powerful medicine man that lived in Denver, like wrote books.
Right. And would it be?
He said that coming to the Lakota way of life is something that turned his mind and his heart back to God, because he had turned away from God because he had a very bad experience at a Catholic school.
Yeah.
He said he had a kind of a hard upbringing with physical abuse from parents. He didn't know his real father. His real father was like Comanche from Oklahoma,
Right.
but never had contact with him. So was raised, by different people in his family, and said he had experienced like physical abuse at home, and then went to live with some uncles and experienced it there. So in our relationship, and I'm not saying that I didn't come with baggage too,
Right.
I don't know. I was just very young at the time. Never really was in a long-term relationship, It was different for me, going through that. And then I would also try to be understanding, like, well, he had gone through this and this and that, so sometimes when he acted out negatively, I just would always feel sorry for him, like, well, it's because he went through these things, and that we all just need healing. And that's what a lot of ceremonies are about, is healing.
Right.
And so I know that when I participated in ceremonies, I always prayed to the Creator, and the teachings we got were always about the Creator. But I do know that certain medicine men work with spirits to do healings for people, and it was always about healings, because he had a background of going to Sweat Lodge, and the medicine man that he was working with also was like part of the Native American church too. So I started attending Native American church meetings, and kind of got more into that more than what I did as a younger person.
Yeah.
Native American church is not a Lakota original way, but it was brought to our people, and some people do practice those ways. Some people do Lakota way of life, Powell way of life, and Native American church are just one, or and so I started going to Native American church with Jason, and then he would come to Sundance, and he had already been going to Sweat with this certain medicine man. So we had a lot of good times, but we did have some very difficult times, and I did experience a lot of hard times. And like I said, I always try to overlook things just because I know that everyone needs help and healing, and just trying to always move forward and in a good way like that at the time, know. So
it was in April where he had committed suicide.
And it was because I was saying that, that I wasn't going to be with him anymore. It was kind of hard because some of the physical and emotional abuse that I went through in the relationship, as our daughter was getting older, like had her first birthday, I didn't want those things to affect her, and I just thought that it would be better that we would be separated. But this time, when we were going to break up, and then he ended up committing suicide, it really affected me. I'd always tried to be strong, because I am the older sister. In a way, I would always try to, be stronger and not show weakness. But I think that...
So, about 5-6 months later, that's when I met you.
Yeah.
Because this is, I mean, I remember you telling me that.
Even that is very like wrong, because like my family's telling me like you need to wait, you know, before you see somebody or be involved with someone. You need to wait. You have to do these things and these things because you just lost your spouse. So, you know, it was hard for me, you know. But I think that everything that I had gone through in that relationship, and I remember a lot of times thinking we probably shouldn't be together. I probably shouldn't be with someone, like, because my relatives had told me I'm not supposed to be.
Right.
So.
But I do remember a lot of like going out with you just to various places.
Oh yeah, then I do remember once we did start like really seeing each other, like going out to different electronica spots and going and seeing different DJs here and there and stuff.
Right.
Yeah.
No, there's some other things. I mean, I remember always going out with you, seeing your mom and Tim, always like just helping with Sammy and
yeah. I'm a very family oriented person, and you know, like a lot of times, well, baby girl would tell me this, that I would say like, I don't know why, but like I feel like I don't really have a friends group, and she said, oh, it's because you have a big family and you have a lot of sisters, so you probably don't feel the need to have friends because you're pretty much fulfilled with, you know, your sisters. But I don't talk to them that much either. But
no, but you guys have a group chat on your phones, and everyone kind of communicates. I mean, that's how we communicate with our family. You know,
yeah, the kids.
We all have phones, and that's how we communicate throughout the day. Just sending out memes and things that we're gonna do, old pictures. And it's a good way to connect.
I guess apparently baby girl checks everyone's location. Like she put her location on my phone. I don't even know how to do that. She put the boys' location on my phone. I'm like, okay, is this necessary?
Yeah.
But I guess like the other night when we were at the Jurassic World movie, she checked her friend's location and actually seen
what is that doing right there, and looked at it. Always at the theater.
That's so
watch, yeah. That's funny. But that's how close knit we are, and that's what I learned from being with you. Like, okay, because I saw it firsthand, like how much you were very well connected with your family. I remember braiding Sammy's hair, in the morning. I'm like, okay, all right. And she would just be so happy too, like,
because we had to take them to school, right?
Right, in the morning. It was crazy.
Gosh.
I would take her.
So we lived like
North Glen, or no, Thornton.
35-40 minutes from their school.
Yeah, so we had to drive them. But I just remember stuff like that, like. This is like family business right here. Like,
always.
But I got to see like how a family operates. But I think I'm trying to get to the synopsis of the Exodus. Yeah. Right.
Okay, yeah.
So I mean, I think there were some good times that we've had. A lot of experiences that I was with you, and to see firsthand of like how you operated. I was able to see, well, you went to a lot of ceremonies, and I thought it was different. I'm backslidden at the time. I really didn't know what direction I was going, but I also knew that God had planned for me. In my backslide, He allowed me to meet you. He allowed me to fall in love with you. He allowed me to have a family with you. But He also allowed me to have a shattered heart, really. Well, so we're two broken people. Me, I'm backslidden. I used to, be a thug in gangs, just done all kind of bad. I did all this stuff and then
went into your DJ scene.
Got into that. I don't even know what I'm doing anymore. I'm lost. And I meet you, coming from a background of like, okay, I know that you suffered from a lot of DV during the time that you were with Jason, right? Yeah. I knew prior to that, according to your whole testimony, how defiant you were, how many things you've done, smoking, just doing all kind of bad. And praise God, right?
Yeah.
Because it's like, with all that baggage, we were still able to reconcile. But here's the thing. So my wall went up. I'm distraught because of like trying to hold on to a relationship that was not clearly working. That's my thing. I was hoping to work because I would still talk to you. Because I remember getting the kids. I remember taking them out. What really killed me was thinking, well, I always used to tell you, you would tell me, do you love me? And I would always tell you, yes, I love you. And I would always tell you what, forever, right? So even though this relationship was very difficult, and I think because we were young, my expectations for a relationship I wanted to work. I wanted to have a mother and father for my kids.
I mean, I wanted the same thing too. I wanted the kids
What
to
do you
have
think
both
it
of
was
us.
though? What do you think it really was? I could always look back and think, how difficult it was for me to even talk to you. I would talk to you, but I would think every time you had something to say to me it was like verbal abuse.
And to
Right.
me, it was like neglect and abandonment.
So-
So when I did express myself, yeah, I was very upset.
How do you view that with the perspective of where you are now? Do you think this was good? Do you think this was right on either end? And what do you think could have been a solution?
Well, knowing what I know now about marriage, yeah, it was definitely wrong on both ends. Because I wasn't respecting and honoring you, and you weren't loving and protecting me.
I mean, even just having this conversation is like, it pains, I think, both of us, going back and opening a scar, but praise God that it's washed.
Yeah, I mean, that's a long time ago. I mean,
So, I remember like why I left, right? I remember why I left. I remember coming to Houston, right? Mm-hmm. I remember getting a job and starting my whole life over. I'm not even in the scene anymore. I have Neo Vaughn intermittently because he would sometimes be with you, sometimes with me. I started going back to church. I found a really good church in Houston, Grace Community Church. And that was a church that Neo Vaughn was, raised in from 4 years old to, when he was pretty much out of high school. Baby girl as well. When she came down, she went to that church. And so I think in 2008, when you're about to move down, I think there was a lot of things that you were getting away from, right? I know I got away from a lot of things, and like for me to move down to Houston, I just tossed the whole party scene. I wanted a new beginning, and like I said, that's why I got a job, and I was just doing what I think is right for my family, which was, and I wasn't with you, so it was with Neo Vaughn, and it was going to be very difficult for me to have baby girl because that's your daughter, right? And but we talked about it. So before you came down, so in 2006, after I left, let's see if we could take it from there.
Okay, so you moved to Houston.
And so in 2006 to 2008.
Yeah, I remember when you left, and I was thinking, man, that's a long way to be going, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And I remember when you left, it was like sad for me, but at the same time, I was just thinking like, I just hope that, that God would be in your life. And then when you told me that you were going to church one time and that you would wanted Neo Vaughn to go down and be with you, I just felt like I didn't want him to because he was still so young to be away from his mom, I thought. At the same time, I didn't want to keep him from you because I didn't think that would be right either. So I think it was really hard, the co-parenting with you being in Houston, because I would always be concerned for Neo Vaughn, like if he's going to miss me too much, if it's going to be too hard on him, like who's going to be watching him if you're working. And I know you said your mom was watching him for a while, but I just know that he was so used to, being at home with me and Tanika that I was just like, how is he going to manage this being so young, And that was really hard on me. I was in a relationship with somebody who was very involved in Native American church, but they lived in a different state than I did, so it's not like I really seen that person that much. And I think I was just still on just like a spiritual type of journey. I had lost my brother in 2003 in a car accident, and I think still just dealing with that, and even Jason. And then even though we had been together for a couple years and had our son together, I think those things still kind of bothered me in a way, so I was just trying to pray those out and do what I can. I think my heart was always like for the people, that things would be better for them. That even though I was going through different things with loss of family members, like, think when you left, I just went further into that, like, spiritual aspect of my life, I think. But I was in a relationship with someone, but it was like a long distance, so it's not like, we seen much of each other.
And what happened? How did that end?
Well, because it was a long distance relationship and we really didn't see each other that much, and also that person had an illness. What he was telling me was that since he's not going to move to Denver and I'm not going to move to Utah, that there's really not any point of us being together, and that actually he was really sick and didn't want me to take on the burden of being with somebody who was sick.
So that's how it ended. And around what year was that?
2006, and then we didn't talk for a while, and then we kind of tried to initiate a relationship again in 2007, but it just really wasn't, how would you say it, in the cards for us. 2007 was kind of a hard year too. My sister was killed in a violent murder on our reservation. She was 15 years old, and two 15-year-old girls murdered her, and it really affected our family and my grandma very much. Yeah, 2007 was kind of not a good year. I mean,
yeah, because I remember I saw Grandma Lillian at the hospital. I think that was around 2007 when she was at the hospital. Yeah, I remember driving in from Denver, then we drove to South Dakota.
I remember you took Neil Vaughn at that time because I had actually been in South Dakota taking care of my grandma who was sick.
Yeah.
She had cancer before in 2006.
Yeah, I remember flying out with him. We almost missed our plane. And then he did stay out there with me from 2007. And then I think he just went back once around 2008 or late 2007. And I took both of them that summer in 2008.
And then he was going to daycare.
Right.
Your mom wasn't watching him anymore.
Right.
And I was really worried about him. But then I was like, well, he's learning, he's growing. So then I remember after my grandma passed, it was kind of a bad time for me, going through some bad times. But I think was it March? I went to see him. And he kept saying, I want to go home with you. I want to go home with you. And I told you, Mark, I know we were going to let him stay with you for 6 months. And I know it hasn't been 6 months, but every time I go by the door, he keeps saying he wants to go with me. And I don't want to break his heart and leave him, and you let him go with me.
So you figure 2008, I think that's where I had asked you if you wanted to come to Houston. The summer of 2008 is when you dropped off the kids, and so I don't know, maybe after you said you're going to go to the Sundance. So after the Sundance, I was like, well, I'm here, right? So, I mean, I can't even explain how broken I am. Like, there's a lot of unforgiveness. There's a lot of hurt. There's a lot of pain. A lot of things that you have said and actually done. And I know I did the same, And I think how to navigate our feelings and how we were going to navigate this relationship to good health. Like, this relationship was not healthy. And so I think there was a turnaround. I think this is the isolation part where I left Denver, isolating myself from everyone and everything. I was forced to just be still. To be still. I don't know if you felt the same way, because you moved in 2008 and you didn't go to church with us until 2010-ish, right? Mm-hmm. So for 2 years, I felt it was a little rocky, again, a roommate situation, right? But what we wanted was the best for our kids. That's what we wanted, right? So we would parent in the same house. I think God had a plan, because how many years is that? From 2008 all the way till 2010 when you went to church with us. That's 2 years. And you said you gave your life back to Jesus, right? And so we had something in like that's our third strand now. We had God in our life. So it was the beginning of reconciliation. It was the beginning of us understanding each other. It was for me to love my wife the way that Christ loved the church, right? And if we all know, Christ died for the church. He died for us. For me, it was a lot of unforgiveness. My heart was calloused. When you're walking around with a calloused heart, you're just angry. And that's the problem. If we remember the story, Lot and his wife, when they ran from Sodom and Gomorrah, God said, just don't look back. Don't look back. But Lot's wife understood that Sodom and Gomorrah is good, right? It was good. Nothing good about that place, right? People killing each other. People doing all kind of crazy. So I had a past of, it's good in the back, but there's a lot of pain in my back. And so I would always tell the guys at work, man, you cannot live your life looking in the rear view mirror. And that's what I was doing. I really held on to that because when they moved with me in the summer of 2008, that's what I'd go to the altar for, in the same way that you would pray for me. I went to the altar and I would tell the prayer team, my prayer, my request. I'm praying for reconciliation, I remember, I don't know how, and I also wanted stability for my kids, for these two, but we're praying for, their mom, and so I don't know the whole logistics of what their mom is going through, but I just pray that, we could become a family, not knowing that God's gonna say, yeah, but you guys are gonna have to work this out in your isolation. We would also know that in the time of isolation is the pruning process of when God starts and begins to do a good work in somebody in isolation, right? Moses, when he left Egypt, because he had killed somebody, the Egyptian, and he was banished and he went on for 40 years. 40 years in isolation. Because God was going to do something. Mm-hmm. So for us, our isolation was from 2006 when I left. Exodus, I left.
How long do you think you were in isolation?
Oh. Years. 10 plus years. For a broken heart and a lot of unforgiveness.
Yeah.
That was the hardest part.
Yeah, see, I didn't know that you had unforgiveness toward me. I didn't know why you were angry all the time.
I don't remember when I released that. I mean, I was asking God for him to work in me. And I think it was the time that, I think it was COVID. Because think about it, that was just 5 years ago. And that's where a lot of things started moving. We still had bad days, but I think it was really, I think it was the worst time in history for anybody that's alive was COVID. And for us, I mean, it was a bad time because I lost a really good job at the time, really good job. And it was heartbreaking too, and I can hear God though. I think it was when we started going to City Mark, because we got fed. I believe we got fed at Grace. I believe that, they just fed us. And now it's time for the meat of, your walk.
I moved to Houston in 2008. I had done some stuff that really wasn't right and was kind of called out on it in a way. I guess got kicked out of the Sundance. So, and you know what my cousins tell me? They're like, well, okay, that person doesn't count because they're just under the influence, and the other person doesn't count. They're not even from our reservation, and they're just saying this because they're jealous of you. So whatever they say doesn't count. But again, and I could have went back because people do. I mean, they have things that happen. I wanted us to be together. I wanted our kids to have, both parents. I was a little bit in a culture shock, I think, of like, okay, I'm going from being involved in this spiritual aspect of my life, walking the red road, being involved in this way of life, and then moving to Houston, being separated from my family, everyone I had known for the past, 28 years, and being just by myself with you and the kids.
Isolation again.
Yeah.
So you had an exodus.
Yeah, so it was like I would mourn and grieve. Sometimes I would have dreams about ceremonies. I would, especially on the dates of certain ceremonies, like I would really like have a hard time, It was like actually mourning and grieving a person, but it was a way of life, What I had experienced, that God was moving me a different direction, but
Right.
again, maybe just rebelling against that.
What direction do you think he was moving you towards?
I think reconciling with you. And
Do you honestly, you honestly thought that?
Yeah.
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 So
But
is that
again, rebelling against it, wanting to do what I wanted to do,
right?
Yeah. So, I guess they call it disobedience.
Disobedience, doing look.
Like
If
the
you
word
do,
says.
if you do what you want to do, you're gonna be swallowed up by a big fish. You get that? You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like,
Or if you go against God's laws in so many different ways, you're going to be out in the wilderness.
He will
How
put you in
long
time out.
was Moses in the wilderness?
40 years.
40 years. So
He was in time out. But Joseph was in the.
how long was he out in the wilderness before he had to go back and set the Hebrews free?
What do you mean? When 40 years.
Oh, he was in the wilderness for
When
40
he saw the burning bush.
Oh wow,
That's
so that
40
was 40
years.
That's a long time.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
I mean, he's just here on his own. He probably got a big old. He got a white beard. It was like me, boy.
Yeah,
call
how
me
did you
white
get that
beard.
white beard?
No, but like if you think about it, that's what it was, for 40 years, and he's just
Yeah.
going through some things.
Yes.
And then God called him, and he's like, made these excuses. Well, I can't even talk right. He goes, no, where I got that. Well, who do I say that you are? Tell him I am that I am. So God always, he's like, get them moving, Moses. It's funny because this whole room was built for a purpose, and I thought it was crazy for me to even build this room, right?
Yeah.
I mean, this is our garage.
Yeah.
I don't even know how to do carpentry. There's nice wood floors here. I don't even know how to put walls up here. But the fact is that God had called me to do something. I'm like, okay, well, I'm not sure why I'm even doing this, because I'm not even a
I
good
thought
speaker.
you were just trying to build a man cave and get away from the kids, is what I thought it actually started off as.
That is what it started off as. But then I saw the burning bush, and he was telling me something. So I was thinking, okay, all right. But then again, I would also feel like I was running at the same time, because you're scared to do something that's outside of your comfort zone.
Right.
Like, this is not my comfort zone.
Oh, this is definitely not my
This is-
comfort zone.
This is definitely not our this is not our comfort. We're not comfortable, But I think that what God has put us through, He put us through the furnace. He's pruning us, and for the 10 plus years that we've been in here in Houston, 17 or 18 now, but we are being pruned. God was getting out anger. God was getting out jealousy. You know what I mean? He got out lust. That was a hard one. That was a difficult one. But praise God that He's done a work, and He's faithful to complete a work.
Mm-hmm.
And the funny thing is, we're still here. So you know what? Our job is not done. I don't know. That was like an amen or something. I don't know if that was good.
Amen. Yeah, that's good. Our job is definitely not done. I mean, yeah, we still have a lot of work to do. We still have a lot of kids to raise.
Okay,
Our
so
youngest is 10 years old, so
I think it was 2020 when we acquired 3 more kids. We're going to go back to what we said earlier, that we have 8 kids. We have 8 kids, right? And that's a journey right now.
So in 2020, my mom passed away from COVID. Yeah.
She was actually the first Lakota to actually pass away from COVID, huh?
She was an off-reservation Lakota.
Right.
Yeah, definitely. That's what they said anyways.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
And so COVID was the turnaround, I think.
I'm really thinking like, even this past year, I feel like you have grown so much.
Well, yeah. We go from glory to glory.
You got to go through the valley to get to the mountaintop. I mean,
right. And sometimes we fail to realize what God's done for us when we're at a new level of the mountain.
Yeah. I definitely went through some changes, when my mom passed. I think that throughout my time of walking with the Lord since 2010, going back to church and just wanting to be in the Word, immediately feeling a conviction about us getting married and just making that commitment and having that covenant with God, and the hard marriage that we did have for such a long period of time. I was, I think, in a lot of prayer and in the Word a lot, and it helped to transform me. And then I was just praying for your transformation.
Right.
But it took a long time.
You know what? We could have been a statistic. That's the thing.
Definitely.
And it's only God.
Only God, yeah.
It's only God. I had to learn to love my wife the way like Christ loved the church.
Did you even know that you're supposed to
I always knew that. I always knew that. But the spirit is willing, but the flesh is weak.
Yeah, that's what the Word says.
Because like I've been saying, I've been walking around with a mirror looking at my past, looking at past hurts. My heart is a pillar of salt, and it's calcified. My heart is calcified at the time. So I think that's where we are at. And I think just even these last years that we've had, I think we've grown. I think that our kids have grown. I mean, all 8 of them, but it's definitely not clean.
Oh, yeah.
The house is still ain't clean, but it's a lot cleaner than it was last year. And it was a lot cleaner than it was 20 years ago.
Yeah.
So praise God. Yeah?
Yeah, you have to clean it up. Fill it with the Word.
Man.
Yeah.
I mean.
Yeah, reading the Bible is what really helped me, in so many ways, because I think that everything was going to be good once we got married.
You got to work.
And then it was always...
You got to plow it now. You got to till. You got to till this relationship, But you got to go through some things. Like, we went through it for 20 years. But I praise God that He's taken us from glory to glory to glory. So many times, even when we were having financial troubles, I remember like brothers be knocking on our door, like, "Hey, brother, you know what? I didn't see you at Bible study, but I wanted to give you this." And he hands me an envelope. I'm like, $500? Where'd that come from? I remember Carlos knocking on the door. Hey, brother, I still didn't make it to, and I would always try to make it, but there's times that we couldn't even make it to Bible study because we didn't even have no gas money for the car to get to the Bible study. I didn't even want to tell the brothers that, like, oh yeah, we can't make it to Bible study because we got no gas. Right. I didn't even tell him that. But then Carlos comes by and he says, "Oh, brother Joe wanted to give you this." And I look at it, I'm like, "Oh, brother G, look." And he gives us money. I'm like,
yeah.
Like, how many times has God been faithful?
Definitely different for me to experience that.
These little miracles. That's a big miracle.
Yeah, it was so definitely a manna season. I feel like we're still in a manna season, just relying on God's daily provision,
We have little, we have much, faith, whatever it was.
And just learning to be content in that. Yeah, I always was, but it was different for me to be receiving out of nowhere.
Out of nowhere.
Literally.
Do you remember that story? Do you know where I was going to go with this one?
Your friend that gave you $100 at the gas station?
Right. So we're all the way at Porter. We're doing a Christian car show. And then on our way home, like out of nowhere, like we didn't have, I think we were down to like our last $10, $20, right? And we are so far away from Houston, $10 might get you just to the house. We're going to put in 10 in yours and 10 in my vehicle, and we're going to go home. And hopefully it'll make it. It made it. But however, we stopped at that gas station, and then I seen Brother Scott out of nowhere, at a gas station. And then he goes, Mark. I said, hey, how's it going, Brother Scott? He goes, good. Weren't you doing that car show this weekend? I go, yeah, we're just coming home from it. And we're just at the gas station, like somewhere out in the quarter, out of nowhere. And then he goes, hold that thought. He does something in the convenience store, comes out, goes, hey, brother, I just wanted to, give you this. And he shook my hand, and he gave me $100. And it was like time and time again like that, right?
Yeah.
Where we just, somehow, it was just money just coming out of nowhere.
Yeah.
Because I wasn't working.
Yeah.
And we had to rely on God, and He had us
provides.
in the wilderness.
He is a provider.
That was straight up manna in the wilderness.
Right.
I think this was a good one.